Hello, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. My name is Edward Tsai. I am the chairman of Gao Feng Advisory Company. We are a strategy and management consulting firm with roots in China. We've been doing consulting in China for well over 30 years and have been helping a large number of companies, both multinational foreign companies in China, as well as many local companies, including both state-owned enterprises and privately owned enterprises. Today, I'm very happy to have one of my dear colleagues, Jeff Lin, to be on this call with myself. The reason why I've asked Jeff to join me in this dialogue is that recently we've been doing quite a bit of work together, helping multinational companies in addressing issues of the real estate in China. For many real estate companies, we believe that the current real estate value in China is not fully realized. And we believe that there are ways for foreign companies to fully realize the value of the current real estate. And we have some real experiences doing that. So before we talk about that, I'd like to quickly sort of introduce Jeff. Jeff and I went a long ways back. In fact, when I was running the China practice for Boston Consulting Group, Jeff was my first MBA hire after he graduated from MBA at University of Chicago. And I still very much remember our interview, and I was so impressed by him. And so I gave him an offer. And sure enough that, without knowing it at that time, we continued to work up to today. So along the way, we worked together at the Boston Consulting Group, at Busan Hamilton, where I also later led the China practice. And, after I formed Gao Feng Advisory Company, Jeff also was kind enough to also continue to help. And he's currently a managing director at Gao Feng Advisory Company. At the same time, he also is running his own company called Smart Republic, which I'll ask him to introduce it more. In addition to Smart Republic and also the consulting career before, he also spent quite a bit of time as a very senior executive in a leading Chinese property development company, which I'll also ask him to introduce. So Jeff, over to you. Perhaps you can say a few words about yourself as well.
Hi, so great to catch up with you online again. Even we have been working together for many years since both of us are very young. We are still very young now. So as you mentioned that I spent about more than 20 years in strategy consulting, many together with Ed. Also, I spent years with Country Garden Holding. Right now is the largest real estate developer in the world as the VP and also Chief Strategy Officer, in charge of the overall strategy, as well as some of the mega project developments. We have been working together with government and also some with other partners from the industries. For example, on smart city or high-tech town type of projects.
That's fantastic, Jeff. I think the combination of strategy consulting experience plus the real hands-on experience in the property development sector that give you a very unique background to help many companies to advance their real estate sort of strategy in China. And recently, we've been working together on a few cases, Jeff, precisely in this area. And we have noticed that, many multinationals are adjusting their real estate strategy. At a high level, what kind of advice would you like to give them?
I think in China, there's a lot of multinational companies in the past decades have been benefit from the growing China economics, and also try to put the China strategy as a very important part of the MNC's global strategy. I think right now it's a challenging world, not only to China, but also to the global. So it's also a time for us to, the MNC, to rethink what is the China strategy about. But also under the context, a lot of companies used to own the heavy assets approach, i.e. owning land, buildings in China. This could be a strategic levers to rethink their real estate portfolio under their overall China and even the global strategy. That's very important to think about their property, not only in terms of valuation. We all know that a lot of property have been appreciated in China, but beyond valuation of the property, it's also very important to consider what is the strategic value of those real estate portfolios to the corporate strategy. That's what we would like to illustrate in today's discussion more.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is that for many multinational companies or foreign companies in China today, they have some real estate or they have a real estate portfolio.
Yep.
They may not be fully exploiting the value of the current real estate. They haven't really tried to figure out what is the next generation real estate strategy for them. And perhaps, with the existing real estate, they can think about how to perhaps divest some of them or entirety of them. But then, if for the ones who would like to continue to invest in China, perhaps they can find other places where they can make new investments. And perhaps in some cases, they can also collaborate with some kind of local governments, which can, help them with the new generation real estate strategy. So could you perhaps quickly articulate in this process how you or we together could help a foreign company to go through this thought process?
Okay, as you just mentioned, in China, a lot of companies think about either China not entry strategy, right now it's an exit strategy, or China Renaissance strategy, how they can do better in China. So under those overall strategy, it's very important to think about what is the real estate portfolio, particularly the assets they own, and also the property they are going to have or going to divest. How that can be a strategic levers. So in terms of, we already talked about it, even the real estate portfolio should be a critical and also integral part of their China strategy. So in specifically, a lot of companies are thinking about the valuation of their property only. What we try to mention is then they only think about, it's a buy and sell deal, how we can really cash out, try to harvest the property value. That's good. But there's also one thing is overall the strategy is you need to rationalize your property portfolio. Some of your property used to be in a place with the ecosystem or close to the market. But right now it's probably too urban. That's a lucky, if you are lucky enough, then your land may be in a very prosperous area, but whether that's a good thing to expand your operations and also whether it's preferred by the government to put the factory, for example, in a high density residential area, those are the something we not only to think about our own perspective, but also need to think about how, as a corporate citizen, how to cope with the China policy, what to cope with the China overall development. This should be an ecosystem issue, strategic view to think about it. So our view is how to rationalize your portfolio under the new strategy, particularly how to rationalize your real estate portfolio. That's a very important issue for us to consider.
Right, exactly. Jeff, recently we've done a few projects together of this kind of nature. I know that in one of our project is that we help our clients to really to look at the current real estate, and the client would like to divest from that piece of real estate and relocate some of their production facility or capability to another more remote area, right? So for the current piece of real estate, we help them to divest them. And then, as you said, that piece of real estate 20 years ago was in a relatively remote place. And today, because of the urbanization in many parts of China, is becoming very urbanized. So the value has changed a lot. But also, to what extent, what value actually is justified also depends on how the local governments would look at it. And so in the process, actually, we help this client to really help them to evaluate how they could work with the local government so that this piece of land can ultimately enjoy the proper level of value that it deserves, right? So perhaps you can explain how that process works and how we actually help our client to add value in the process.
Okay. I think for most of the cases we are working on, also specific on the case Ed just mentioned, we start with a classical strategy consulting projects. The client, they are MNC industry player. They benefit from the real estate appreciation, but they don't really understand the real estate. They also have been approached by a lot of guanxi guy who claim they can help them to solve the issues. And they were also approached by many professional real estate agents who represent some of the buyers or potential buyers, at least they claim, to approach them. But they decide to take a smarter way by reviewing what is the overall options, strategic option they have. Overall, they would like to divest that area, but also they are not in a hurry because it's their profitable operations. So they have some time buffer to do so. They can do something quick, but also can have some time duration. So we communicate with their overall China strategy and to rethink about how to rationalize their China strategy, and particularly in terms of supply chain management. We know this is a specific area, goes through the systematic strategy study. We understand, we give them the options, not only based on the current policy constraints. We interpret what is the policy potential, because we need to have a strategic anticipations of the policymaker and the government officers, how they would like to develop the city, and what's their KPI, and also what is their unmet needs from the government view to develop the city. So goes through that, we find out there's a different strategic options under the potential interpretation of the policies. We are not relationship guy. We are not those so-called guanxi person who is going to lobby the government. Instead, we develop the strategic plans to discuss with our client. They can either return the land with a price to the government. They can also co-develop the land with the real estate developer, which will take a longer time, but they can yield a lot of potential profit in the futures. Or they can do something in the middle, which is at the end, they decide to take is we help, based on the government perspective, we help them to develop a potential plan to better utilize the land, which is right now is under the industrial zone. But they also constrained by a lot of policy. If they sell at the industrial zone, then it's a fair price. They are happy about it. But we also explain to develop a plan which is potential government can benefit from the rezoning of the land. We communicate with the government and also communicate with many real estate developers. we raise the risk of rezoning because the government officers like the plan. So at the end, we all know typical game rule is in China, the price of residential area, residential zoning is about 10 times higher than industrial. So depends on area, but as a rule of thumb. Of course, we do not really raise 10 times the acquisition cost. We do not 10 times the deal size. We actually 3 times of the original target price by having a better plan, which is more or less preferred by the government and also for the potential buyer. They also understand they are not only buying a dream, they reduce some of the risk and they are willing to pay some of the premium to get the land. And they are the person to realize the potential of the rezoning as a real estate developer. So this kind of handshaking is a non-zero game. Everyone got their win. So it's a win-win-win scenario. And also go through the deal. We also help to arrange a lot of tax issue, a lot of also invite some of ecosystem partner to help them to divest their employee and also relocate their facility, etc. So it's not only a plan. We help them from the planning stage, finding out the strategic option, rely with their corporate strategy, and also help them to implement the strategy, including finding to service to find and also screening the potential buyers to complete the whole deal. So this is a result-oriented, very, very successful result-oriented project.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story, Jeff, and it's proven to be very successful. And as you said, it was a win-win-win situation for all the parties involved, right? So I say there could be many other similar situations in China with very different types of foreign companies who have already secure real estate over the years. And, I think there are various ways to really fully realize the potential of the current real estate that companies are holding. So, we'd be happy to talk to every company who's interested in exploring this. At the same time, many foreign companies are also looking at doubling down their investments in China as the China market evolves, as the China market in the specific sector is becoming even larger and more sophisticated. So more and more foreign companies are actually doubling down or increasing their investment in China. And so they need to also look forward into the future about the future real estate portfolio strategy, right? How do they develop and adapt the current strategy into a new strategy? So I know that, you also have done quite a bit of work working for foreign companies together in some cases with local governments in China to really putting together a team or a ecosystem in this case, right? So both sides can participate into a new real estate strategy. And perhaps you can share with our audience some of your experiences of doing that.
Okay. I think in the past, the China, the real estate zoning policy is try to block the whole areas for industry or another area for residential. So it's become some of industry area, it become an empty city at the night. And also some of residential become a sleep city. So people only return there. It's also create a lot of traffic because people traffic from home to where they are working. Well, right now, we spend a lot of time to think about what is the so-called smart city. Smart city not only in terms of technology, it's also about what is the right way people live, work, learn, play, and have fun. So in a reasonable sense. So this is something a lot of MNC, when access strategy is one thing. Okay, another China Renaissance strategy, or try to strengthen the China strategy. If you would like to go to have a new land to develop, it's the right thing, right approach, right strategic approach to discuss with the government. Not only give you a land for industrial purpose, how you can make it like a city, your employee and also your neighbors can benefit from your growth. So become a community citizen, which is it might be a good community citizen. That could be the common sense for you in your home countries. But right now in China, how you can be that and try to develop either smart city or smart township. I think what is a very important thing is when you think about to expand your China real estate portfolio by having, for example, by having new land, it's very important to think about not only do it for industrial purpose, how you can make your employee, your ecosystem partner, particularly your community neighbors, they can also benefit from your growth, which is some of the good ideas the China governments would like to listen your plan. So this is some of strategic planning. We should also work together to think about it and try to propose it, not only to treat China as a production base or as an operation base.
Yeah, that's fantastic. As you know, we work with a large number of various local governments in helping them to develop their own development strategy. And every local government, as you know, Jeff, they have they wanted to pick a certain strategic position for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because they also want to, in a way, compete and become successful among all the other peers, other peer cities or peer provinces, right? So every local government is trying to identify its own areas of strength and to build up the areas of strength. And along the way, they will look for many companies, both local Chinese companies, as well as in many cases, foreign companies who bring in value so that as partnerships or ecosystems, they could, really drive something together. So I think what you described, it makes a lot of sense because, if you have an idea about how to work with certain local governments in driving the agenda, a joint agenda together so that both sides or every side can benefit along the way through, as you mentioned, kind of a multidimensional way of thinking about a city or a multidimensional way of thinking about the way of living, then it will be a win-win situation again, right? So I think that will be a very good way for many companies to think about going forward. How do we think about the real estate strategy, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, in addition to work with the government, sometimes it's also very important to smartly work with the real estate developers who can also help you. And the real estate developer might benefit from your plan, so you can also add something in return to the corporate or even to your employee. So discount, for example, discount for your employee to own properties near your presence. Actually, is also good retention plan, for example. So those are as Ed just mentioned, it's an ecosystem play, how to consider everyone's strategy need and also their KPI and go through the non-zero game approach, how to create a win-win scenario. Those are the new strategy for MNC in China through the real estate as a lever. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Jeff. It's been a great talking to you in the last, I think, half an hour or so now, and very good insight and a lot of experience, really valuable experience. And, we worked together very successfully over many assignments together. and we help our clients to create value that our clients actually appreciate a lot. And so, we'd like to offer our capabilities to many other clients as well. And so, thank you, Jeff, for your insights. Appreciate, I think you have shared with our audience and our clients about many of the ways that they can, optimize or maximize the value of the real estate portfolio in China as the strategy in China is evolved, right? So thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership, as always.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.